Matthew chapter 5 and verse 43. The Lord Jesus speaking the Sermon on the Mount. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbour and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. What sort of person do we naturally like or take to or love? I wonder if it's too obvious to say that we love people who we find lovely, who do lovely things for us. And when we read, love your neighbour, we get that command. Because I want to be a loving person, not a hateful one. And I want to live in a world of loving people, not a world of hateful people. But the problem is that not everyone is lovable. Not everyone is even nice. Some people, using the language of the passage, are unneighbourly. Some people are unlovable. Love your neighbour, love people who do neighbourly things. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And people who do hateful things, people who don't act like neighbours, well, maybe the command is not to love them. Arguably, it is right to hate them. Love your neighbour, but hate those who do hateful things. Now, I hope you've spotted that I'm leading you down a very wrong path. But that in reality is the path that most people do go down. That is the path that Jesus' hearers were going down. The Lord Jesus, Matthew 5 verse 43, you have heard that it was said, love your neighbour and hate your enemy. Yet that's exactly what we've heard. Because that's the way the world operates. But here's the bombshell that Jesus then drops. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Who is your enemy? No, maybe not even your enemy. Who in your family, who in your workplace, who in our church looks down on you or makes your life difficult or badmouths you? Who has hurt you, who has betrayed you, who has got in your way? But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Little Ryan is being bullied by Harry at school. Ryan's mum and dad find out. Dad says, you need to stand up to him. Choose your moment and hit him hard. That'll stop him. But mum says, no, that's not how we do things. Walk away from him. Keep well away from him. Who's right? Neither of them are right. Love your enemy. We well know that retaliation is not how we love someone. But upon reflection, we realise that walking away from someone, ignoring someone, shunning someone, that's not how we love someone either. How do I treat someone I love, someone I really love? Well, I walk towards them. I pursue relationship with them. I want the best for them. I will do anything I can for them. That's how I love someone. And Jesus tells me I am to love even my enemy, even someone who persecutes me. And the end of the passage, verse 48, what do you make of verse 48? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So tempting, isn't it, to say, well, this is just cloud cuckoo stuff. I can't live like this. No one can live like this. I don't want to live like this. But let's listen more carefully to Jesus, verse 44. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Did you notice that sentence in the middle? That you may be children of your Father in heaven. Our God, the God family, Father, Son and Spirit, utterly loving towards each other. Well, of course they're utterly loving towards each other because they've always been together. They always act personally. There's nothing unlovely in any of them. Of course, they love each other perfectly. But our God creates a world that very quickly becomes unlovely. A world that goes its own way, a world of people who go their own way, a world of people who each have shameful attitudes and desires and habits and behaviours at the core of their beings. So how does God treat this mixed bag of a world? Well, says Jesus, verse 45, look at the sun. Look at the rain, look at creation, and you will see God's love and provision to good people. And get this, you will see God's love and provision to evil people as well. You will see God's love and provision to righteous people and to unrighteous people. And indeed, if we were to read on into the rest of Matthew's Gospel, it would become very clear to us that God the Father's goodness to unrighteous people is not limited to the sun and to the rain and to the corresponding annual harvest. No, it extends to him sending his Son to die for very unlovely people. So sobering. So sobering. If it wasn't for people like me, Jesus wouldn't have been killed. But amazingly, it was for people like me that Jesus came to be killed. Father, forgive them, is what Jesus said on the cross. Father, forgive Sean, is what Jesus now needs to say on a daily basis, is now what Jesus does say on a daily basis. Why did Jesus willingly die for you? Why did he love you so much? And the Bible's answer is simply because. He chose to love you because he did. But what is the result of him loving you? Well, you respond to him in repentance and faith so that your past is forgiven and you are adopted into his family. You have a new status. You are a child of the Father. But increasing, you also develop a new character. You become a child who loves even your enemies. Many still view the Bible as an instruction manual, a self-help book. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to live. No, it isn't. And I'm beginning to wonder whether it is this view of the Bible that makes us so reticent to pick it up at home each day. No, the Bible is how God's Spirit speaks to us, how he warms our hearts. He says here, see through these pages the beauty of Jesus. See what he's like, see what he's done, see what he promises, see what he commands. Love your neighbour, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Love your enemies. And you say, I can't. But then the Spirit says, well, see the beginning of the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are you who realise you can't. You realise you can't live like this. Who realise you've never lived like this. You mourn that you don't live like this. Blessed are you because Jesus came to die for you whilst you were his enemy. To those that mourn their sinfulness, he promises his Spirit to come and live with you and change you into someone as lovely, as loving as the Lord Jesus, if that is what you want. So, disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ, love child of the Father, what are you going to do with that person in your life you don't like, that you avoid, you maybe hate? How are you going to avoid retaliation and bitterness? No, more than that. How are you going to move towards them? Of course, they may not want you to move towards them, but how are you going to at least keep the door open? That takes wisdom. That's risky. That's uncomfortable. That takes love. That takes supernatural love. But a starting point is hinted at in these verses. I don't know if you spotted that right at the beginning of our passage. Jesus saying, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Pray for those who persecute you. That sounds a bit lame, doesn't it? No, it isn't. Constantly, consistently, insistently crying to the Lord that he will be kind and merciful and loving towards your enemy, and that he will change your hardened, bitter, wounded heart. Father, forgive them, you now cry, even as they, so to speak, are hammering nails into your hands. Don't you yearn to be the sort of person who could pray that? Don't you ache to be as lovely as your adopted brother, the Lord Jesus, your adopted brother who is now your King? The gospel. What is the gospel? God takes unlovely people and he chooses to love them. Jesus takes their sin and promises them heaven. Jesus gifts them his Spirit and he changes them. One day we will be as lovely as Jesus. One day we will live in a new creation where there is nothing but loveliness. And in the meantime, falteringly, imperfectly, we are those who love our enemies. And we are those who pray for those who persecute us.